Right, I'm going to do some home cured bacon. It's going to be a lean one, like back bacon, because I've got pork loin. It was on special offer from Tesco's, half price basically. Obviously you get pork belly, you're going to do streaky bacon. We're going to do sort of back bacon with the loin, so it's quite healthy. And also you can judge, it's quite healthy also because you can judge how much curing agent to put into it, which is salt and sugar. So we can do it slightly less salt, so even more healthy than what you buy in the shops. You can judge the ratio. And we'll need a spreadsheet for that, so we've got a spreadsheet to do as well. So it's quite simple things that you use, it's just a bit of measuring carefully and then time in the fridge to cure, so a few days. So let's go through what we've got then. Well, we have a bowl to put it in once it's in its Ziploc bags. I use 2 because you might get some leakage otherwise. You can use one of those vacuum baggers if you've got one of those, but I haven't. Scales are very important because you have to get percentages right. The loin of pork in this case, the bowl to put it in, the salt and the sugar, which is the curing agents, and some, well, it's not actually Mal curry powder, it's Prague salts #1, which is used to kill bacteria, so you put a small amount of that in. For the salt and sugar, they normally add up to about 7%, so if you want it quite salty, you do 5% salt, 2% sugar. We don't like it that salty, so we do a 4% sugar, 3% salt, which means it's slightly sweet, quite neutral. And if you want slightly sweet bacon, then you would go 5% sugar, 2% salt. And we've got a measuring tape because when you're curing, you have to work out how long to cure it for, number of days. So we measure it and we put it onto another spreadsheet online on a website. It tells you how many days. If you've just got pork belly, 7 days is normally enough as a rule of thumb, but this is slightly thicker, so you measure the biggest width so that the curing agents get all the way to the middle. And that's it, it's just measuring out, putting it on, and then waiting for how many days. So what we'll do is, first of all, we're going on the spreadsheet and work out, once we've weighed this joint, we'll see how much of the ingredients we have to use. So we'll do the weighing next. Right, so weighed out the meat, it's 1852 grams. Now you can use imperial pounds and ounces, but as we're going to be doing percentages, and some of them are quite small, especially for the Prague powder, it's best to use the metric the metric system, so we can sort of say, well, 4% of that is easily calculated, rather than 4% of pounds and ounces. God, or cups and teaspoons as they do in America. God, bloody cups. God, the devil's work. Okay, so 1852, and next we'll go on the spreadsheet to see how much of each ingredient, curing powder and curing salt and sugar we need to use. Yeah, obviously we're going to use it's going to be less than 10%, so we're going to have less than 885 grams. It's going to be sort of like 60 grams of each, and then it's 0.5% for that, I think, so that's going to be a few grams. Anyway, let's get on the spreadsheet. Okay, so we've got a bacon calculator here on the spreadsheet. As you can see, I've already put in percentage ratios here, and there's a calculation to do. So once I put in the weight there, the calculation should come out at the bottom. At the moment, that was the last one I did, 1080. This time we got 1852 grams, and that brings out the ratio of salt and sugar to use. So I've got a 3 to 4 ratio, 3% salt, 4% sugar, then 0.5% curing salt. We don't need to be too accurate on the salt and sugar, but we should be quite accurate on the curing salt. So I'll do that as close as I can to 9.26 grams. The others can be 55 and 75, so I'll probably do 55, 75, and just a touch over 9, and we'll mix that up in a bowl. I've not got any sage at the moment, so I'm not going to put that in. So now I've got my grams, I can go back to the work surface in the kitchen and start measuring those out. Okay, so weighed out the sugar, the salt, and the curing powder. This curing powder is quite toxic, so well, with pork anyway, you should keep washing your hands. But with that stuff, you should really wash your hands doubly twice. or triple it twice. Yeah, it's not very healthy. That's why it cures all the bad bugs. Yeah, so 75, 55, and it was just over 9. My scales don't do only up to half. So what I do is I'm going to mix those together and then we'll start putting it on for the curing. I measured the thickness of this, it was 8 centimetres. We need to go back now and see what the curing time will be. But first of all, I'll mix these all together and then we'll put them on there. Okay, so now we have to work out how long the cure is going to be for this. And luckily, there's always a website that tells you. Genuine Ideas, he does some really good stuff on there. He's an ex-scientist who does cooking. And some of his art and science bits are really clever. And he does food and whatever, inventions and stuff. He's worked out whether a reverse sear is better and this, that and the other. And so he's quite a clever chap. I think he worked in the Silicon Valley for a while and then went and then did something more useful like cooking. So well worth sorting out. Genuine Ideas. Anyway, so he did an easy brining calculator for your, because he's a scientist. So you put in the thickness of the meat and what shape it is. It tells you what how long it has to do. So I just went and measured it and it was 8 centimetres. So we do 8 in there, centimetres, and well, it's halfway between flat and tubular, but let's do tubular. And it says 6 days, so that's quite good. So we'll do probably add 20% to fully cure the centre. So we're looking at 8 days, roughly. So yeah, with this equilibrium way of doing it, which I've measured out, you can leave it for longer. It won't go too salty or too sugary. It's the ratio that matters. It would just mean that it cures for longer, but as long as it's cured down to the centre, it doesn't matter. So you could leave it in for 2 weeks and it'd be all right. But you do have to turn it upside down every day, because what happens is obviously the cure goes into it and then the brine comes out. It sucks all the moisture out, so you need to keep turning it over. Anyway, that's good. So we'll say 8 days and we'll go from there. Okay, so just back from the website, and it's going to be 8 days. So what you do is you put that on that. Now in the past, when I first started off, I did it as they did on the YouTube videos, where they poured it on and then they tossed it in it, then they put it straight in the Ziploc bags. So the only thing about that is a lot of that falls off, so it gets spillage, and you want as much of that still in the bag because it's an equilibrium mix. You don't want to start losing any percentages. So what I worked out is if you do half it and just put it on the top, leave it an hour, it sort of absorbs it in. So you shouldn't have too much spillage then when you turn it over and do the other side. So you don't have this powder going everywhere left in there. You end up with it on your hands and still in the bowl and whatever, and on the work surface, because being careful is not my middle name. Yeah. Andy, not careful, Watson, Powers. You're there again, aren't you? He's never leaves my side. He's a guest dog. Anyway, so let me put this on there and then we'll leave it in there. Back in a mo. Okay, so carefully put half the mixture on the top. I'm just going to leave it there to soak in, so to speak. And then I'll turn it over and put the other half on, and then we shouldn't have too much leakage. Then it goes in these Ziploc bags. I might use a couple of old ones actually that I've used before. Keep those for a special joint. Yeah, good. Right, so it's almost there now. Leave it an hour and we'll come back later. Right, so left it now, and as you can see, all the salt and stuff has dissolved in there. So I'll turn it over and add the rest of it. And we won't have too much going wild, just spraying off. So it's definitely the way to do it. And we'll be back soon. I'll put that on the top, then we're into the plastic bags. Ding dong. Right, top side done. We'll let that sit. It's on the fat side, so it might not dissolve in as much. Got some juices coming out there, but we'll see how it goes. Give it an hour, then into the bags, and then into the fridge for, what was it, 8 days? Yeah, 8 days. Maybe not. Let's get 9. Let's get 10 days. Yeah, sweet. Okay, so after about an hour, it's now almost dissolved into the top. We've got the liquid there. We can put it into Ziploc bags, and we lose none of the curing salts. And then it's in the fridge for 9 days or 10 days or whatever. But might even do it for 2 weeks, it'll be fine though. Anyway, back in a moment. Right, it's double bagged. We poured all the stuff in and the leftover curing mixture, which was semi-liquid, and then we lost nothing. So that's going to be 10 days. We'll see how it goes then. We do the cooking. All right. Well, after 9 days of turning it over and over and over, it's now ready. You can see all the fluids in the bottom. Yeah, that's good. All the dry rubbers sucked all the juices out. Right, after 9 days, dry cured pork is ready. It's quite a lot of moisture that's been sucked out from the rub, so that's looking good. I've turned it every day, and now we just need to cut it after washing it off. I've got my knife, I've got some lard to cook it in, and I've got a good whetstone to sharpen the knife. I haven't got obviously I haven't got a bacon slicer, so you do need a sharp knife, preferably Japanese, when you cut this. Right, let's get it out of there and rinse it off under the sink. Then we're ready to cook. And there we are. We've got a home cured bacon. We've got a sharp knife after being sharpened. We've got the lard to cook it in. That's a good end for my wife, and that's a bad end for me. I'll test it out on that side, obviously. Not a perfect pork loin, but that's going to be really good. Right, let's get cutting. Right, there we go. I've trimmed it all up. Those are the ones off the ends, and that's offcuts that I will just test to see if it's cured properly. Right, and perhaps put it in a bacon sandwich. But yeah, it's going to be really good. Sweet. And obviously when you've done your bacon, you just stick it in the fridge in some wrapping, as you would do for bacon that you bought from the store. So yeah, you don't have to be too careful over it. Then give it a little bit of air, or dry a little bit more. But yeah, just keep it in the fridge. Bob's your uncle. Alright, we've got the offcuts now. We can see in a minute whether it tastes the proper percentage of sugar to salt for the cure. Oh, looking good so far. I've got Percy the pigeon out there, my mate. Put him in his egg cup. Yeah, he's got a deformed beak. Anyway, right, let's have a taste. Ooh, from all the offcuts. I tell you what, when offcuts taste that good, I don't want proper bacon. Oh, there you go. We've got Mr. Wood Pigeon out there. Oh, steaming up. Mr. Wood Pigeon out there. He steals Percy's stuff. I've got to keep an eye on him. Bat him away. Right. There we go. Ooh. Ooh, right. I'm going to have to let it cool down a second. Right, here we go then. So what's the ratio of salt to sugar that I like? That's a good bit. But it's still quite hot. I think it's spot on actually. Oh yeah. You notice that all that shit comes out of it with the commercially done stuff, where it's all injected with water. You get all that white shit coming out of it. No, that's just perfect. Oh yeah. I can tell you who's gonna like this. Name no names, but she gone for a barbecue at school today as a teacher. She said, "Oh, I don't like it. It's all beef burgers and hot dogs." But she's gonna come home with some nice bacon. Oh, she'll love that.